If this entire world is a garment, then what is its thread? If everything moves, then what is that which is immovable? The Isha Upanishad is a divine proclamation where the presence of the Supreme Being is experienced in every particle of creation. It is not just a scripture, but a vision that turns us inward from the outside and expands us outward from within towards the universe. This Upanishad says, Ishavasya Sarvam. In this entire moving and non-moving world, whatever exists is enveloped by God. And where this truth becomes manifest, there remains neither greed, nor fear, nor illusion. And when this vision awakens, the question spontaneously arises within the seeker. What should I know now? And from whom should I know it? It is then that this divine voice descends into his heart, flowing through an ancient sage, leading towards the Supreme Brahman. That is the Isha Upanishad. Chanting Om, I first bow to those revered life energies, that is, the divine form gurus, who have made me realize the Supreme Brahman and who are the original teachers of self-knowledge. Now I resolve to present the collection of meanings of the revered Ishavasya Upanishad. The sage of this Upanishad is Swayambhuva Manu, through whom this knowledge was conveyed. In it, the deity worshipped by the name of Yagna is Hari, who is the Supreme Brahman. Its meters are Anushtup and other types, which are to be understood differently according to the verses. This Upanishad begins with the word Anejat, which indicates the principle. It is clear that only a person who is qualified, that is, whose inner conscience is pure, steady, and capable of contemplating the principle, can attain this knowledge. No one else can realize this truth. To establish the purpose of the Upanishad for this very authority, the first mantra of the Upanishad addresses the cessation of desire for objects with a reasoned teaching. This is where the authority of the Upanishad begins. This first mantra is Isha Iti. This entire animate and inanimate world, whatever is visible in this dynamic creation, all resides in the soul, that is, in God. Here, Ishavasya means being pervaded by God, or having God dwelling within it. God is the form of that Supreme Soul who has entered every element. As the Upanishad says, Tadeva Anupravishat. He alone has entered this creation. From this perspective, the entire world is not independent. Only God is the independent existence. This moving and non-moving world, which exists within the changing nature, is also dependent on God. Therefore, it is not independent either. Knowing this, use the objects provided by God, not out of greed or selfishness. Hence, it is said, Tena tyaktena bhunjita, meaning, consume the objects obtained from God appropriately and with an attitude of renunciation. Here, tyaktena means the wealth or material given by God, which is received naturally without greed, desire, or the feeling of hoarding. It is proper to use only that. Therefore, it is said, bhunjitha, meaning enjoy, but with wisdom and equanimity. I am a thief. Do not be greedy. Whose wealth is it? Do not desire the wealth of others, whether it belongs to a king or anyone else. Because no one except God has true ownership of anything. When all things are under God's control and He alone is capable of giving, it is improper to desire to obtain from anyone else. Thus, the meaning of this mantra is to renounce the desire for worldly objects, wisely enjoy the God-given possessions, and not crave anything that belongs to others. This is the first and essential step towards self-realization. A person should desire to live for 100 years while continuing to perform actions in the same manner. That is, if one wishes to live in this world for 100 years, one should keep performing actions continuously. But what kind of actions? Actions that are like worship of the divine, free from any expectation of results, and in accordance with one's own nature. One should perform these actions throughout life with a constant attitude. This is the teaching of the Upanishads. Here, the meaning of Shatam Samaha is 100 years, and the use of the second case, genitive, is in the context of time. In this human life, as long as there is a desire to live, one cannot give up actions. But the Upanishad clarifies that these actions should be performed with the feeling of offering them to God, not with the expectation of results. The question arises, why? The answer is, because when a person performs actions according to their own dharma, renouncing the fruits as an act of worship to God, no sin attaches to them. In other words, those actions do not bind the person. Even those with limited qualification, who have not yet attained the capacity for knowledge, if they perform such actions with a devoted attitude towards God, past or future sins do not bind them. As a result, they gradually become qualified for knowledge. Therefore, it is said that not performing actions does not cause sin. This belief is false. If a person does not perform actions in the form of worship of God, then sins bind him, and he does not become worthy of self-realization. For this reason, the clear instruction of the Upanishads is that a person should remain engaged in actions in the form of worship of God throughout his life. It is also established in the commentary on the Vedanta Sutra that even if a knowledgeable person does not perform actions despite having knowledge, the effect of sinful actions causing loss of bliss still remains on him. Therefore, the explanation of this mantra has been given with reference to a person in the highest state of knowledge, and it is stated that even they, if living in a physical body, cannot abandon proper actions. Thus, this mantra not only expounds the path of Karma Yoga, but also indicates that action is essential to attain the qualification for acquiring knowledge. And only then does a person become worthy of the inquiry into the self. The worlds that are covered in complete darkness, which are called Asurya, are extremely sorrowful worlds. Asurya means those worlds that are devoid of sunlight and beauty. There is joy in sunlit places, whereas in Asurya worlds, sorrow, ignorance, and distraction prevail. Literally, Asurya means those who are not worthy of the sun or light, and etymologically, it signifies great sorrow. Therefore, Asurya worlds are those where the soul has no awareness of its own nature. These worlds are completely covered by darkness. Andhena tamasa. This is not only external darkness, but also an inner ignorance that conceals the very nature of the soul. This dense darkness completely alienates the soul from its divinity. This ignorant veil is so deep that upon entering it, the soul becomes entirely separated from the light of truth. All those beings who harm the soul attain such ignorant and sunless realms. Here, self-harm does not only mean physical suicide, but also includes all those who do not know the true nature of the soul, or who oppose it even after knowing, or who consider the body and material substances to be the soul. All these are called self-destroyers. One who does not know the soul in its true form as it really is a self-destroyer. All such beings, when they depart from this world after death, certainly reach those Asuric realms. The Upanishad here uses the word name to confirm that this is not a possibility, but a definite outcome. Those who act contrary to self-knowledge, whoever they may be, all attain realms filled with ignorance, darkness, and suffering.
This mantra warns us that not knowing the nature of the soul or knowing it incorrectly is the greatest sin. A life turned away from the soul ultimately leads to the abyss of ignorance, from which it becomes extremely difficult to recover. Now, the Upanishad, through this mantra, describes the nature of the Supreme Soul. The Supreme Soul is anejat, meaning it is free from vibration. It is stable. The Sanskrit root age means to move or tremble, and anejat means one that never moves. It is completely fearless and therefore does not tremble due to any internal or external cause. That Supreme Being is one, unique. He alone is the supreme power. He moves even faster than the mind. The mind is considered the fastest, yet he is swifter. Still, he himself remains steady. Such a supreme being cannot be fully perceived even by the senses of the gods. They could not know him completely. The reason is that he is Brahman, eternal from time immemorial, inherently always present. The senses and intellect, which symbolize the gods, acquire knowledge according to time, whereas the Supreme Being is beyond time. This Brahman, while remaining still, surpasses the running beings. It transcends all those who move with speed. The reason for this is its inconceivable power and omnipresence. It is foremost in motion and also unparalleled in stillness. It is the basis of everyone's movement, yet it depends on none. In that, meaning in that hurry, that Supreme Soul, Matarishva, who is the chief wind, holds the actions. Here, Matarishva means the wind deity, who pervades all beings and inspires them. That same wind motivates all living beings to perform actions and dedicates those actions to that Supreme Soul. The profound meaning of this is that all actions, including virtuous deeds, ultimately reside in that Supreme Being. The air, which is the life-giving force, prompts beings to act under the inspiration of that Supreme Soul, and the fruits of those actions are dedicated to that Supreme Brahman. Thus, that Supreme Soul is the ultimate cause of the movement, consciousness, and results of creation, in motion, in stillness, and in regulation. This Brahman both moves and does not move. This mantra indicates that mysterious state of the Supreme Soul, which is both static and dynamic. Here, the word tad is used in the context of the world. It signifies that whatever exists in this creation has originated from that Brahman. That same Brahman sometimes appears dynamic, like consciousness, motion, development. Therefore, it is said, ejati, it moves, it is active. But that same Brahman is also immobile. It does not move. Its stable form is because it is completely independent. It is not driven by any external cause or impulse. Therefore, it is immovable and beyond motion. That Brahman also seems distant. For those whose minds are filled with ignorance, whose vision is entangled only in worldly matters, it is very far, inaccessible. But the same Brahman is also near. For those seekers whose hearts are pure, who have the light of faith and knowledge, for them it is extremely close, like the self. That same Brahman resides within all beings. It is present in the heart of everyone. And along with that, It is also pervasive throughout the entire external world. It is both outside and inside. Neither boundaries, nor directions, nor distance, nor space can limit its all-pervading form. The essence of this mantra is that Brahman is neither limited to any one state, nor can it be recognized from any single perspective. It is within everyone, yet beyond all. It moves, yet is immovable. It is far, yet extremely near. One who begins to understand this paradox moves toward the experience of non-dual Brahman. In the previous mantras, the omnipresence of the Supreme Being, His pervasiveness in all creatures was mentioned. Now, in this sixth mantra, the direct result of that Brahma knowledge is being described. The person who sees all beings, that is, all moving and non-moving creatures, as residing in his own soul, and then sees that same soul in all beings, is the true seer of reality. Here the term Sarvani Bhutani means the entire universe, which includes both sentient and insentient elements. Everything is under the Supreme Being and is situated in Him. A person who experiences this truth without doubt is called a self-realized one. The word Anupashyati indicates that he does not merely see it, but continuously experiences this truth. Sarva Bhuteshu cha Atmanam. This means that the one who sees the Supreme Soul as the controller, present in every being, is the true seer. He knows that within every living being, the same Supreme Soul exists as the controller. It is the fundamental basis of all. When such a self-realized person attains the understanding that everything resides in that Supreme Soul, and that same soul pervades all, then there remains no feeling of hatred, fear, or enmity in him. Therefore, it is said, Na viju gupsate, meaning, he does not desire to run away from anyone, nor does he wish to protect or hide himself from anyone. The reason is that he has realized that all ghosts are of the nature of the self. Therefore, the tendency for self-defense, which arises from ordinary ignorance, does not remain in him. When everything becomes the self, feelings of opposition, fear, hatred, or difference automatically cease. In this way, this mantra expounds the very profound principle of Advaita Vedanta, where everything is in the self, and the self is in everything. It is from this realization that true self-knowledge arises. For the wise man, for whom all beings have merged into that one soul, there remains neither attachment nor sorrow. Here the Upanishad is describing the state where the unity of the soul is realized. The word Yasmin points to that soul in which all beings reside. The experience is that all living beings are established in that Supreme Soul, and that soul itself is the original form of all of them. It has existed in all forms from time immemorial. Here, Abhut means the soul that has always been in all, without beginning or end. A wise man who recognizes the same Supreme Being within everyone, not just intellectually, but through direct experience. When he clearly perceives this unity, there remains no division within him. The word Vijanata indicates the maturity of knowledge. More than just knowing, it signifies the state of complete assimilation. For such a knower, there is then no attachment, meaning there remains no possibility of attachment, no sorrow. They do not experience any kind of sorrow either. The reason is that where there is complete experience of oneness, there is neither the insistence on considering someone as one's own, nor the feeling of considering someone as a stranger. When there is no other,
There will be neither sorrow over losing someone, nor desire to gain someone. This is the ultimate effect of self-knowledge.
Thus, this mantra confirms the Advaita principle of Vedanta, that when the soul is seen in all beings, and all beings are seen in that same soul, then all the sorrows, hopes, and illusions of life come to an end. This is the highest insight towards liberation. The soul that pervades everywhere is the Supreme Brahman. The knower who attains that Brahman becomes completely free from sorrow and attachment. This is what the Upanishad explains in detail in this 8th mantra. He is Brahma Shukrum, meaning free from sorrow and impurity. Shuch means free from sorrow, pure. Hence he is called Shukrum. He is Akayam, that is, devoid of any gross or subtle body. He has neither a lingam body nor a gross body made of the 5 physical elements. He is Avranam, meaning he has no defects, holes, or breaks. Vran means wound or tear, but he is Brahma, complete and unbroken, therefore Avranam. He is unchanging, that is, he is free from the physical components like muscles, blood, and the 7 dhatus, tissues. He is not only free from the body, but also liberated from the suffering and limitations caused by the body. It is pure, holy and innocent in itself. And because it is completely pure, it is unaffected by sin. No sin has any effect on it. It has neither the touch of sin nor its shadow. Being free from all bodies, it is not subject to sin or virtue. When a wise person attains the Supreme Brahman of such a form, they transcend sorrow, attachment, suffering, and conflicts. This is the reason why the Upanishads establish it as the ultimate goal. Now one may doubt, if Brahman is formless, then how can he create the universe? Because we see in the world that creation is done only by beings with bodies. The Upanishad itself provides the solution to this doubt, that Brahman is a poet, that is, omniscient. He is a thinker, whose mind controls all minds, who is the cause of everything. From this, it becomes clear that that knowledge form Brahman is capable of creating the universe even without a body. He is the Supreme Lord, that is, the one who controls everything, the master of all. He is self-existent, self-born, self-illuminated, not dependent on any external cause or support. He does not depend on anyone else for his existence. From the beginningless and eternal time, from the eternal to the equal. In these infinite times, understanding the true nature of creation, he created those meanings. Yatha Tatyata means, just as the object truly is, accordingly he created the universe. In this way, it is clarified that Brahman does not require any physical body or instrument for creation. This mantra addresses 2 important doubts. First, how can Brahman be the creator of the universe while being bodiless? And second, whether the creation requires a body or physical resources. The answer is no. Brahman itself is knowledge form, independent and omnipotent, and from it, this flow of creation has been continuously operating since time immemorial. The previous mantras clarified that the person who truly knows the soul, who sees the soul in all beings and all beings in the soul, is the one qualified for liberation. Now, in this 9th mantra, the Upanishad makes it clear that merely obtaining knowledge is not sufficient. Rather, the condemnation of false knowledge and incomplete practices is also necessary. As long as a person remains entangled in untruth and incomplete practices, they remain afflicted by darkness.
Those who worship ignorance, that is, knowledge that is false and illusory, contrary to the nature of the Supreme Being, enter into deep darkness. Here, the term ignorance does not merely mean lack of knowledge, but rather knowledge that is opposed to the truth, such as considering the body, senses, or mind as the self instead of the supreme truth. That is ignorance.
Those who consider such ignorance as worship and meditate accordingly, who follow false paths instead of the truth, enter into andhamtama. That is, they enter into the deepest darkness. This darkness is not only external, but also internal, which completely covers the soul. But the Upanishad does not stop here. It further says that those who are engrossed in Vidya, that is, only theoretical knowledge, but do not hold the sense of opposition to false knowledge within it, enter into even deeper darkness than them. Te tato bhuya ivatama. They sink into ignorance even deeper than those enveloped in avidya, ignorance. Here the phrase vidyaya rata means those who are attached only to knowledge, but do not use the discernment that arises from that knowledge, who do not condemn false knowledge, who do not adopt discernment and detachment. They too go astray from a spiritual perspective. The word iva here means certainly. This is not a comparison, but a confirmation of the truth. Thus, the Upanishad makes it clear that merely acquiring knowledge is not sufficient. Along with it, the renunciation of false notions and a clear dispassion towards them are also necessary. Only then does a person progress towards self-realization. One who adopts only one aspect, either only external practice, ignorance, or only contemplation, knowledge, but remains distant from the purification of the inner self and the realization of truth, ultimately descends into the depths of darkness.
Knowledge and ignorance. Regarding these two, the great men who have known through experience and explained, their words are now being recalled here. The Upanishad says, "We have heard that the wise have clearly explained that different results are obtained from knowledge and ignorance. By Vidya, that is, through the true knowledge of the soul, a special kind of fruit is obtained. This fruit is one aspect of liberation, a direction towards progressing to the supreme state of the soul. This Vidya is the same as described in the Upanishads as self-realization, knowing the soul as Brahman."
Avidya. Its common meaning can be ignorance, but here its profound implication is to condemn false knowledge or to abandon tendencies associated with avidya. When a person recognizes false knowledge and wrong notions and becomes detached from them, a special result is also obtained. This is considered an essential process towards liberation, moksha.
Wise men, that is, those who possess discernment, experience, and self-knowledge, have told us this. The meaning of Shukrum is, we have heard this, and not only heard it, but those from whom we heard it are such sages who have themselves seen and known the path to liberation. They say, knowledge yields one kind of fruit, and ignorance, that is, the condemnation of ignorance or the pure observance of instinctive actions, also yields another kind of fruit. Both fruits are steps leading toward ultimate liberation. Thus, this mantra indicates that the attainment of self-knowledge requires not only pure knowledge, but also the renunciation of ignorance, or the delusions associated with it, along with their rational criticism. This is the proper practice, where the seeker progresses by placing both knowledge and ignorance in their appropriate places. Therefore,
The wise say that the proper coordination of both is the path to complete liberation.
The practitioner who truly understands both knowledge and ignorance together, in their true form, is the one who becomes truly eligible for liberation. This is the core message of this mantra. Here the meaning of Vidya is the attainment of the true knowledge of the form of Vishnu, that is, the realization of the true form of the Supreme Soul. This is the knowledge through which the soul realizes its Brahman nature, from which the path to liberation arises.
The meaning of avidya here is not just ignorance, but the condemnation of false knowledge. That is, the rejection and refutation of beliefs contrary to the truth. It is said that it is essential to know both these elements, Vidya and avidya, together here. The word cha and makes it clear that this is not an option, but the coordination of both is the true means.
The man who understands both of these as the same purpose of human effort, that is, liberation, is the true seeker. By condemning avidya, that is, false knowledge, he transcends death, the bonds of sorrow, ignorance, and illusion. This death is not merely physical end, but a symbol of spiritual darkness. And then through Vidya, that is the knowledge of the true nature of the Supreme Soul, one attains Amrit. Here the word Amrit means that part of liberation in which the soul experiences complete peace, bliss, and immortality. Thus this mantra clarifies two things. First, that mere knowledge of the Supreme Being is not sufficient. And second, that refuting false views and incomplete practices is equally necessary. When these two aspects are together, only then is the perfection of liberation attained. Therefore, this mantra reflects the integrative perspective of the Upanishads, where both negation and acceptance are assimilated, leading the soul to the highest step of liberation. This mantra further clarifies the principle explained earlier in the Upanishad, that false knowledge always causes harm, and only true philosophy is the means to real liberation. In this 12th mantra, it is demonstrated by comparing two more types of knowledge and ignorance. Those who worship Asambhuti, they enter into deep darkness. Asambhuti means denying the existence of the Creator. Those who believe that the world has no creation or that no God creates it, that is, those who deny the Creator God, they enter into deep darkness. They go into the deepest spiritual darkness. This is not merely a philosophical error, but a perspective that severs the soul from Brahman, thereby obstructing the path to liberation. For this reason, it is the deepest ignorance. However, the Upanishad says that merely denying non-existence is not enough. Tato bhuya ivatama. There is an even deeper darkness for those who remain attached to the Supreme Being only as Sambhuti, that is, as the creator of the universe, and worship Him solely as a creator. These are the practitioners who know God only as the creator of the universe, but neither accept Him as the destroyer, nor as the sustainer or the self. They remain attached to only one limited aspect of the Supreme Soul, and are deprived of the rest of the truth. Here the term Sambhutyam Rata implies exactly this. Those who are engaged only in creation and do not experience the entirety of the Brahman form. Thus, this mantra explains that one who denies the Creator with an atheistic attitude sinks into the darkness of ignorance, and one who stops at one-sided devotion, recognizing only one function of the Supreme Being, the Creator, goes into an even deeper darkness. From this it can be concluded that true spiritual practice does not come merely from believing in the existence of God, but from knowing and accepting His comprehensive form.
as the creator, sustainer, destroyer, and soul. It is only through this integrated perspective that the soul progresses towards liberation.
We have heard from wise men that it is necessary to understand the nature of the Supreme Being through the possible and the impossible. But the results of these two are different. This mantra repeats that same profound insight. Dhir, meaning those whose mind is steady, discerning, and proficient in self-knowledge, have said that something else is obtained from the possible and something else from the impossible. This is what they have explained to us in detail through Vichakshara. Here the word Sambhav means the creator form of the Supreme Being. A person who knows God as the originator of creation understands one aspect of liberation through Sambhav. He becomes aware of the divinity of creation and develops reverence towards God's work. The meaning of the word Asambhav is the knowledge of the power of destruction. That is, the Supreme Being is not only the creator of the universe, but also the destroyer. When the seeker does not consider God to be limited only to creation, but also recognizes Him as the destroyer and controller, then he understands the essence of Asambhav. The wise have said this, that both perspectives are necessary. Merely knowing the creator aspect does not lead to complete realization of Brahman, and merely knowing the destroyer aspect also leaves the soul's journey incomplete. When the seeker sees both these forms, creator and destroyer, as a unity, only then can they recognize the true form of Brahman. Therefore, this mantra warns us that getting stuck on one side can hinder spiritual growth. God is neither only the creator nor only the destroyer. They embody completeness in all forms, in the entire Brahman form. The teaching of the patient ones is this, that from the possible, another arises, and from the impossible, another arises, calls us not to recognize the duality of knowledge, but its entirety. The practitioner who truly realizes both creation and destruction together in their true form becomes truly worthy of liberation. Here the word Sambhuti means the creator form of God, that is, the one who originates the universe, who initiates life, motion, and action in the world. The term Vinash means the destroyer form of God, that is, the one who, when the time comes, completely withdraws this universe, ending all the sufferings, defects, and false perceptions of the world. The Upanishad says, the practitioner who truly realizes these two forms through the knowledge of Vinashena, that is, the destructive aspect of God, Mrityam Tirtva, crosses over death, which is ignorance, sorrow, and fear in the form of death, and then Sambhutya Amritam Ashnute, through the knowledge of the infinite qualities of the Supreme Soul as the Creator, His compassion, grace, and continuous creativity, he attains Amrita, that is, liberation in the form of supreme bliss. This mantra clearly teaches that liberation is not attained through one-sided knowledge alone. Joy is not achieved merely by considering God as the creator if there is no understanding of the end of destruction and ignorance. And knowing destruction alone is also not sufficient unless there is a complete experience of the divinity of creation. It is therefore said that both kinds of knowledge are necessary. The awareness of the power to destroy helps us overcome death and suffering, and the awareness of the power to create grants us the experience of immortality and divine bliss. Thus, this mantra opens the door to the complete development of the soul, where not only transcendental knowledge, but also an experience filled with equanimity
and wholeness leads to self-realization.
In the preceding mantras, the Upanishad established the authority of the disciple who attains qualification through proper practice and the cessation of desire for objects. Then, through mantras like Anejadekam, the nature of God was described. And through mantras like Yastu Sarvani, it was proclaimed that the realization of God is the cause of liberation. It is now being clarified that this realization does not occur merely through listening, contemplation, or personal effort. Rather, it is only possible by the grace of God. Therefore, the disciple now prays to God that he himself may graciously grant the vision. The prayer is made through this mantra. O Pushan, O Nourisher, O Supreme Being full of completeness, your face, your divine form, which is situated in the solar system, is covered by a golden vessel, a radiant aura. This golden vessel is a symbol of that divine light which envelops your glory and form. This radiance, which is the essence of truth, knowledge, and beauty, is so intense that ordinary vision cannot perceive it. Therefore, O Lord, please reveal to me that true form which is within this circle. I am a follower of the true Dharma, that is, one who holds truth in the heart, who is immersed in your contemplation, who has prepared the soul for your realization through hearing, reflection, and meditation. I, that seeker, earnestly pray to you, remove this radiant covering so that I may behold your true form, that divine form which grants liberation. This is not merely a Vedic hymn. It is the deepest inner plea of a practitioner who, after all his spiritual practice, now beseeches God for the final grace, so that the veil of distinction between his soul and the Absolute may be lifted. O Pushan, the Lord of completeness and prosperity. O Ekarsha, the sole source of all knowledge, and the one who draws knowledge towards himself. O Yama, who regulates all beings according to their deeds. O Surya, who illuminates the entire universe with divine light. And O Prajapatya, who is the son of Prajapati Brahma and the cause of the world's creation from the golden womb. Hear my prayer. Your rays, that is, the divine beams of knowledge, arrange them, transmit them to me, so that I can endure them and reach you. At the same time, your brightness, that divine light which is becoming an obstacle for me, gather it, contain it, because it is hiding my true vision. O Lord, the form within you, which is supremely benevolent, most auspicious and liberating, I wish to behold that very form. This is not a description of any physical sun. It is the divine sun. That is, the luminous presence of the Supreme Soul residing in the Self, which is still veiled by external light and material knowledge. Therefore, the practitioner humbly prays, O Lord, please graciously contract your external radiance, your rays of knowledge, and your influential splendor for a few moments for me, so that I may behold your purest, benevolent, and most auspicious form, which resides as the revered form in my heart. This mantra depicts the state of a supreme devotee who, after all practices and efforts, now desires only the direct vision of the Lord. And this seems possible to him only when God himself graciously removes his radiance and reveals his supreme form. So far, the seeker has prayed to behold the radiant form of God. And then, when he moves towards the realization of the supreme truth, which exists beyond the solar system, he experiences in this mantra the unity of his own being with that supreme soul. He says, Yosau, asau purusha, sohamasmi.
which means the divine person who is that, I am the same.
This Yoso, that which is renowned, which resides in the principal life force in an all-pervading form, that Purusha, who is fully established in both nature and consciousness, that Sohamasmi, that same I am, meaning that the Supreme Soul is indeed within me. This is neither arrogance nor a declaration of bodily intellect. It is an experienced inner voice, where the practitioner realizes that what appears outside, the sun, Pusha, Yama, Prajapati, are all merely symbols. The true Supreme Soul is situated within me, in the heart. Therefore, the practitioner says, the being who is manifested in symbols like Pusha and others is not different. He is situated within me, and hence that Supreme Soul and I are inseparable. This sentence is not merely the culmination of self-realization, but a symbol of the supreme experience of the Vedic sages, where they realized the non-dual truth of Soham, I am that. The word Aham here signifies the inner self, the soul that resides within. And the use of Asmi is not just from a grammatical perspective, but as an indelible expression of eternal existence. This sentence states that the distinction between God and the individual soul is only a difference of symbols. In truth, they are always one. This is the ultimate conclusion of the Upanishads. This body, which is like air, space, and nectar, and ultimately ashes, the practitioner has now reached the state of the final experience. This moment is the proclamation of complete unity with the Supreme Soul and total detachment from the limitations of the body. He says, air is anil, meaning that which is anil is air. This anil is the form of Brahman because nil means nilayan, that is, that which is established in itself and which provides shelter. That is anil. This air, which appears to be moving externally, is actually established in the Supreme Being, and therefore this air is immortal, eternal, indestructible, and of the nature of consciousness. On the contrary, this body is destined to become ashes. This body, this gross body, is perishable and will eventually turn to ashes. Yet, although this body is mortal, the Supreme Soul residing within it, who dwells in the life-breath form of air, neither ever dies nor is subject to any fault. This mantra proclaims that, even when the body turns to ashes, the conscious element, which is present everywhere in the form of air, is immortal, eternal, and resides in the Supreme Soul. The intensive use of the words Anil and Amrit here makes it clear that this is not merely worldly death, but the ultimate dissolution of ego, bodily intellect, and titles. This is the final conclusion of the Upanishad. The body is mortal. The soul is immortal. And the only way to be established in that immortality is surrender to the Supreme Being and realization of the true nature of the self. Om Krato Smara, Kritum Smara. Om Krato Smara, Kritum Smara is the final and most poignant prayer mantra of this Upanishad. A moment where the seeker, after complete realization, makes the ultimate submission to the Supreme Being. Here, Om, the primal sound of the entire universe, a symbol of completeness and consciousness. Krato, meaning, O embodiment of resolve, Supreme Soul, O my Brahman-centered Hari of knowledge, remember me. O God, without your grace, listening, reflection, meditation, practice, everything is incomplete. Whatever I have done, chanting, meditating,
serving, loving. All of it can now be perfected only by your grace. Therefore, remember every action I have done. Do not let me fall into oblivion. May your attention remain on my resolve and my practice. This repetition, Om Krato Smara, Kritam Smara, is not just words, but a soulful call. It is the intensity of remembrance, where the practitioner desires that every action, every feeling, every breath remains in the sight of God. Because the Supreme Being is always all-knowing, eternally embodying knowledge, there is no need to remind him. Yet this humility, this call, is the expression of the seeker's complete surrender. This final mantra reveals the ultimate state of Vedanta, where the practitioner and God merge into oneness, where only one resolve remains. O Lord, now let only your remembrance remain with me. O Agni, O that supreme consciousness which residing in the body moves the entire universe. You are not just fire. You are the Supreme Soul residing within the fire, in the form of Hari. O God, you know all the Vayunani, that is all the duties, actions, and dharma performed by us. You know with what attitude we have lived our lives, how we have tried to walk on the path of truth and devotion. Therefore, O Supreme Soul, lead us on that supreme path which is beyond the cycle of rebirth, which is called the Archiradi Devayana path, the one that leads directly to liberation. Now this soul, surrounded by its past karmas, is in bondage, often entangled in ignorance, attachment, and minor tendencies. But, O Lord, only you can separate us from those sins. Only you can remove that Zuhuran Eno, that is, the sins and impurities surrounding us. Therefore, O Lord, separate us from our faults, and by your grace, lead us towards that divine light, where there is only your presence, only your name, only your vision. We repeatedly pray to you, residing in your refuge, offering you greetings with the deepest, truest humility. Surrender at your feet is our final word, our final effort, our final sentiment. Because ultimately, what was to be known was you. What was to be attained was a part of you. And what was to be lost was merely illusion. When this realization descends within, the soul silently sings, Soham. Imagine a vision in which the entire universe is wrapped in the garment of a single soul, where every living being, every particle, is merely a reflection of that supreme reality. This is the essence of the Isha Upanishad. Ishavasya Sarvam. All this is enveloped by the Lord. In this divine Upanishad, the interpretations presented by Sri Raghavendra Swami not only explain the scriptures, but also guide us towards a life where renunciation, wisdom, and self-realization become the ultimate goals. This Upanishad teaches us that one who sees the Supreme Soul within themselves and experiences the same in all. In their life, there is neither fear, nor sorrow, nor attachment. And finally, when all knowledge merges into the soul, when the veil of ego is removed, then the realization occurs of that Yo Savaso Purushaha Sohamasmi, whose vision ends the suffering of birth and death. Every line of the scripture, every explanation, invites us on the journey from the soul to the Supreme Soul. And now, as this sacred explanation is completed, we dedicate it to the one who is the source of the entire creation, who is infinite, unchanging, and immortal.
Shri Krishnarpanamastu.